Good morning. Welcome to my live show. And we're having our morning coffee. And yeah, so get some people up in here. Notifications just went out. Yeah, there they are. And we'll see if anybody comes in. Everybody's probably at home, driving, the whole 9 yards. So, get some people up in here. I will not be griping about how tough it is to be home. So, because that would be ridiculous. Truck is done, as you guys probably saw in my last video. But by that point, there's so many things going on at home. We did bid on a load for Monday, and the bid said no soup for you. So we'll just see what happens Monday morning. I might go in to take my DOT physical Monday because it's due at the first week of January. And let me make a recommendation to you guys. Do not wait till the last minute to get your DOT physical done, because there are some clinics that have had issues with staffing and issues with appointments. You can't just walk in on some of them. And while the DOT has said, hey, you know what, we'll let it slide, that's not the case. Just that's at the discretionary point of the officer. There's a story out there of a guy that let it lapse in Georgia. He got DOT'd in North Carolina, and he literally had to park his truck, get a rental car to go take his physical because they wouldn't let him drive after that. So not something to mess around. So if you can get it done, you get it done. And you don't have to have that done in your home state. You can get it done anywhere. I think 1 year I had my physical done in Maine, actually. Portland, Maine. Is it Portland? Somewhere in Maine. So don't let that lapse, because you don't want to be at the discretion of the officer. Because if you look at him wrong, or he doesn't like the way your truck looks, or if you smell him funny, he will decide to write you up for any little thing. Check out my coffee mug, given to me by Mr. Jeffrey Like. For those of you that are running, I hope you're making lots of money. If you're a company driver, I hope that they're paying you double miles that day if you're running over Christmas Day. If not, you can at least enjoy the fact that the streets and the truck stops will be empty, and it'll be easy breezy, right? Easy breezy driving. I always love driving the week of Christmas to New Year's because there's hardly anybody out. And it's not until the second week of January when you start seeing the truck stops fill up again. At the end of the year, there will be an end of the year video on some of my numbers, not all of them. It will be mainly expenses of what I spent this year, and it was a banner year for the truck as far as expenses, but we'll kind of go over that. I just was watching a video, and Congress people are yelling at me on the screen, so I didn't want to watch that. Negative energy, because the whole political spectrum is a crap show, right? So I don't care what side of the fence you're on, it's a crap show. So let's do some shout outs. We got 30 people in here. I appreciate every single one of you. 32 now. I appreciate the 5 people that went over there and went doink on the thumbs up. 6 people. I appreciate that. Let's do some shout outs. We got Big Houston, Jonathan Wheeler, Jerome Jones. I wanted to make sure I got that name right. Donnie Luke, Rick N, Scott, Lek Leader, Nothing Witty, GNC Family Trucking. Good morning, Grafton, Jonathan Wheeler. Merry Christmas to the Snorler family. Thank you very much. Trucker for Life. I hope you're warm and safe. Good morning. I hope everyone's warm and safe, whether it be in your truck or at home. TJ Jones, Bowl of the Woods. Merry Christmas Eve. Good morning, says Thor and Thunder Trucking. Merry Christmas, wrapping presents, LOL. I got to do that later. I got to do that before tonight. You know, I'm that guy. I'm that guy at like 11 o'clock at night wrapping presents, but there's only one that I got to wrap, and then the rest will be, I cheat a little bit on that. So, my dad taught me how to wrap presents, and I've pretty much forgotten what he taught me. So, you know, when I wrap presents, it looked like a 5-year-old did it. Nothing against 5-year-old wrapping presents, because that's the most adorable thing you can see. But when a 48-year-old dude raps like a 5-year-old, it's comical at best. Provost Motorsports, yo, Merry Christmas. Just did mine because mine is due February. Not as much snow as they predicted, but plenty cold. Yes. If you guys follow me on Instagram at Snorlord, you will see that the animals have decided that being outside sucks today because of the wind chill. I don't believe, it's a little cloudy, there's no precipitation, but the wind chill is definitely there. That warm front that went through, or the cold front that went through, that's going to create tornado weather in the southeast tonight. Is the other side of that. We're cold, but the wind chill is what the factor is. So, Robert Daniel, I smell funny because I use my ears to smell. I get mine around the corner from my house. Good morning, Snorlord, says Robert Daniel. I hope I'm saying your name right. Josh the Vegan, hello, howdy. Merry Christmas, and hopefully have a great New Year's too. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Anthony Bressler, Jonathan Wheeler, we hit the thumbs up today. Warm and 61 degrees here. Thor, not for long. Not for long. Playing golf today in shorts, going to be 78 here today. Well, have fun dodging them tornadoes later, Mr. Provost. But I do see, my sister lives in Florida, and she sends me pictures, and I do crave warmth. But, you know, Missouri lucked out on this last storm system that came through. We're going to play weatherman for a minute. Minnesota, Wisconsin's getting nailed with, like, cold. Same thing with the Dakotas. I talked to a friend of mine that lives up there in North Dakota, and I told him I was cold, and he just laughed. He goes, dude, that's t-shirt weather where we're at, you know. And, you know, I like giving, you know, just like the Florida guys like to rub it in our face, we like to rub it in the northerners' face. Like, hey, it's cold. It's like 30 degrees. But now the wind chill's actually in the single digits around here. Because wind, I hate wind, right? So, Quick Williams, how's it going? Friday and Saturday will be chilly, then back up to 65. Right. Well, I know you Florida, Georgia guys, you guys tend to like, oh, it's 50 degrees. Let's put on like puffy winter coats that, you know, you bust out twice a year, and, you know, you hit a frost, man. It's deep winter. Trust me, I know. I used to live in Phoenix. You know, if we had a heavy frost, it was like, whoa, it's like snow, you know, and that usually happened like twice in December and once in January. Wind advisory here in Northeast Oregon. 50% chance of snow through Christmas Day. You might have a white Christmas. But yeah, we had the wind warnings yesterday. When I brought the truck home, it was like just in a bobtail. And you guys saw the last video I did where my beard's like blowing like this, and, you know, so. Plank Garland, morning Steve, happy holidays. Jody, I fought wind yesterday from Joplin to Paducah, Kentucky. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I would think that you would have been out of it once you got closer to Kentucky, but yeah, it was. I think all the way from Oklahoma City, all the way up to where it's blizzard conditions up there in the north. Yep. Published we will be back in the 50s again this week in Virginia and the Carolinas. So, um, so one of the reasons why I like to stay home between the 22nd and the 26th is because around this time of year you have issues with shippers and receivers. You hear stories all the time of guys that their loads rejected or they get to the facility and they're closed, especially if Christmas is on a weekday, which it is, even though it's a weekend day, a weekday, it's a Friday. You still have issues. Now, when holidays are on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, it makes it easier because you can just run all weekend if you decide you want to run the holiday versus doing a 500-mile load and it's like 3 days to do it. So that's something to kind of be cautious of because Christmas Day is you have facilities that are closed or that are open on Easter, they're open on New Year's, they're even open on the 4th of July. But Christmas Day is usually a staple that we're closed no matter what. So, and then a lot of stores close early. Like even Walmart supercenters, they're like, yeah, we're closing at 6. So if you need some after that, if you need a bottle of mustard, you got to go to a convenience store and pay $8 for it. No. I drove in northern Iowa last night. Worst conditions in 8 years. Straight awful. Yeah. I don't like running Iowa this time of year because there's no corn to break up the wind. And like Wyoming has those big fence things, to help break up the wind. But even then, it doesn't really do a whole lot of good. I think it's mainly for blowing snow. But like in Wyoming, there's nothing to break up the wind. Whereas at least Iowa, you got some trees here and there, and some corn. That helps a little bit. Wind is bad up here in Green Valley, hoping I win the wind lottery and get a new fence out of it. Green Valley, Missouri? Is that where you're at, Rick? Let's see. I say a lot, and I apologize. Windy as heck in East Tennessee last night. Supposed to have a white, icy Christmas here. Yeah, that's not good. That's a bad combination to have ice and wind because if the roads are slick, I've seen videos where you can literally be doing like 3 miles an hour and you're empty and the wind is just pushing your trailer because it's icy. I remember a video where guy got on the CB because he saw that the driver in the right lane was having trouble keeping his trailer on the off the ice, trying not to go in the ditch because of the wind, and they're all doing like 5 miles an hour. So he was loaded, so he actually pulled up next to him and said, "Just ride next to me, and I'll block the wind for you." So it's good to see some examples of camaraderie that we still have out here. Truck and Tech with Kevin and maybe Ollie. Morning, Kevin. Hey, thanks again for the tip on exit 13 Joplin. Jody Scott, absolutely. That is a great place. Their food's not bad. 3 o'clock morning, you can find parking in there. Joplin is one of my favorite towns because regardless if you park at the Joplin Petro or at the exit 13 there at the Big Apple, you'll find parking. Whereas, the Flying J in Joplin, avoid it. The Pilot in Joplin, avoid it. Because I don't know, the way that Flying J's laid out, they don't give you that correct amount of swing room, for most amateurs. And so I've seen a lot of hoods taken out there, So I might go in there for a shower or a 30-minute break, but even then I won't really do that anymore because, there's better places. and I don't fuel at Pilot Flying J anymore, so I tend to not even take showers there anymore. But and then Catskill, if I got to do a Catskill and I'm like right there on off that road, I'll do the Blue Beacon. I'll actually go in there and do the Catskill there. Blue Beacon Catskills are nice because you don't get out of the truck. I mean, yeah, I use the app for most part, but I think my scale, I can tell you exactly how many. Getting the right way is one of the best things that I've purchased. See if I can. I got my P&L right here. So far, at the end of November, I've spent $122 in scales. And that's mainly because it was like 45.5, 45.6. And I wanted to make sure that, number one, the scale was right. You got to calibrate it every so often, or check the calibration every so often. It's too close, so you want to make sure. But that used to be double. I can probably open up my computer and tell you what it was the year before, or 2 years ago, back when I was or 3 years ago, back when I was at Schneider. I was scaling all the time, even though I got the right way in the tractor, or I mean I got the trailer first. I believe. Yeah, that was the first thing I bought one of the first things I bought for the trailer. So. Let's see. Yes, GV, Missouri, exit 24. Oh, okay, yeah. I used to deliver at that Kohl's all the time. There's some really good paying loads that deliver there, but they're like 5, 6, 7 day drops on the trailer. That's why I wish I had another trailer. Because I'm talking loads paying $2,500 to drop a trailer there for a week. And I'm like, man, if I could drop my trailer there, bobtail home, get the other trailer, and still continue to work, that's just extra money. $2,500 would pay the trailer payment for several months. Providing that they don't damage it. But so Schneider's, a lot of the guys complaining at Schneider because they're seeing the open market rates on the spot for the same loads, and not realizing that that's a drop trailer rate. So yeah, it's paying me $500, but it's paying my buddy $2,100. Well, but Schneider's able to drop the trailer, so yeah, they're definitely pocketing that money. So good morning, Kiersey, how's it going? Clyde, the weather forecast for Southwest Virginia this morning is supposed to be high wind advisory for 4 p.m. today, and wind and rain for most places east of 81 in Southwest Virginia. Shower was cheaper at the Big Apple than the J. Yes, the showers are $10 there. Is that right, Jody? I definitely like. I definitely like that place. I mean, they're cheaper showers. A lot of mom and pop places, their showers are usually only $10, so I don't mind paying for them. There's a place that I visited in Michigan. If Jeff was in here, he could probably tell you. That's where I parked my trailer when I had to go get the ELD installed at his house. And I can't remember the name of the place, but they had $10 showers and they were good. So, but the best shower is the one that you need right then and there. I remember I did a load for my company delivering at the Bass Pro in the Foxborough Stadium. Those of you who don't know, the Patriots, New England Patriots Stadium is actually attached to a mall. And in that mall is a Bass Pro Shop. And I had to do a double drop in this really tight area in just this pouring rain. And when I was done, there's a truck stop there in Foxborough, like literally, I think 10 miles up the road. And it is a dump, and it costs $10 to park there. But I paid $7 for a shower. And I kid you not, the sink was about like literally this big. There was no counter. It was like, it looked like out of a like 1950s movie, prison movie kind of shower. But man, that shower felt good. I was scared to death, but it was good. And then I remember going back to the truck, watching football, eating old school Mountain Dew and chips. And that was back in my Carbolicious days, and it felt good just to have comfort food, a shower, and a warm place, and then not deal with, because that I could tell you a story about that Bass Pro Shop. I almost got arrested there because of the security guards there. So I delivered there once before, and I was trying to find a better way to get back there, and I couldn't find one. So I went in the wrong entrance, and the security guards, now mind you, this was Transland's, one of their most important accounts. And if you were late, Transland really slapped your wrist hard, And the delivery was at 5 a.m. And we did 3 trucks there a week. And I pulled in the wrong entrance, and the security guard was very nice. That guy was pretty nice. And while he's like, look, we can't let you in, but you went in the wrong entrance, but you can't come in at all until 7. I said, well, if I come in at 7, I'll be late for this load. He goes, no, they don't take deliveries till 7. I said, look, I've done these before. We do 3 of these a week. We deliver at 5 o'clock every single time. They won't let you spend the night there. You got to spend the night at the crappy Foxborough truck stop. And so this was like 4 a.m. So I went in another entrance, and they blocked me, and they said, you got to leave. I said, no, I deliver at 5. And they're like, no, you got to leave. So I went in the correct entrance, and they blocked me cop style with their golf cart. And my son was with me. This was during the summer. And I get out of the truck. I set my brakes, get out of the truck. And the guy's like, we told you 3 effing times that, you can't deliver here at 5 o'clock. And then I hear the guy on his radio say, yo, man, do I need to call the cops on this guy, in that Boston accent, right? I don't do a good Boston accent. And he goes, man, we're going to call the cops if you don't leave right now. I said, you need to call the manager of the store. I don't got to call nobody. I'm like, okay. So I call the manager of the store. And the manager comes walking out. And now the argument is between the store general manager and the security guard. And the security guard is literally telling him when he cannot take his deliveries. And then I put in the little punchline, hey, yeah, you guys are really good at security if you don't realize that there's 3 trucks a week that come in at 5 a.m. I'm only guilty of coming in the wrong entrance. And after yelling was done, he told me to go back, and make my delivery. So I make my delivery, and I leave, and my dispatcher calls me later, and he yells at me. He's like, dude, what the hell? Why were you trying to spend the night at the facility? I'm like, I wasn't. And I told him the story of what happened, and I guess the store manager threw me under the bus and made it sound like the reason why I was a troublemaker is because I was trying to spend the night there. And that wasn't the case. So I sent my dispatcher, I said, look, I can show you the receipt of the spot that I bought last night. You can look at the Qualcomm and see where I parked last night. That manager is absolutely lying or doesn't understand what he's talking about. So that ticked me off. But I got that store manager back a little bit. A couple months later, I had to go pick up an empty trailer from a customer that we had lost in Maine. And so the closest place that I could drop the trailer off was at Bass Pro. So I pulled in there, and the manager, the same manager, he's like, you know, they're having to make room for me because, you know, Bass Pro likes to put a lot of crap in their area, you know, for the trucks to, you know, so you have an obstacle course, you're dodging, you know, $20,000 bass boats and stuff to get the blind side into a dock. So I dropped the trailer, and the guy comes up to me, and he's like, so you're going to be back here at 3 o'clock to pick this trailer up, right? I'm like, nope, not my problem. I drove off. So I imagine the salesperson at Translane got a mouthful on that because they promised him that I would be picking it back up at 3. It was just a temporary drop. So, oh, and ironically, Translane ended up losing that account. I wonder why. But anyways, and the trailer that I was picking up in Maine was a customer that I warned Translane about because the last time I picked up that load up there in Maine, they were unhappy with the company because we were always late to pick up loads. And I tried to play customer service, and I got yelled at for doing that. So it's, you know, other than that, Translane was a good company, but I didn't understand anything about the logistics world at that point. And now I can look back and see why they did things a certain way. And it's not as cut and dry as you might think from, you know, the other side of the steering wheel. So, showers, yeah, that's classic. Yeah, so not everything is as it seems. And one of the things that I always try to promote with any company, whether you're a company driver or you got owner operators, is communication. You know, if you're a dispatcher, you need to communicate with your driver. If he's sitting for 5 hours waiting for a load, you need to tell him or her that okay, here's the reasons why you're sitting. You know, that way you're not sitting there dwelling, because a lot of drivers are discontent with where they're at, and so they're constantly looking at those little magazines that you find at the rest areas, you know, or they're talking to their friends like, oh, I've been running 3,600 miles a week for the last month, you know, I'm doing really good. You know, you hear a lot of that, and so it's easy to dwell, you know, on things, especially if you're working a holiday that you were supposed to be home for. And so communication is key. You know, if your driver's going to sit, don't let him just sit there in the dark and not know what's going on. bigrigceo, morning, Dr. Awesome. So, bigrigceo, check it out. Anyways, I hope everybody's at home. If you're not, I hope you're safe and you're running and you're making money. Because there's a part of me that would like to be making money right now, but I like being home. I'm very grateful to be home. And that's pretty much why I make a truck payment. Well, I guess I can't say that anymore. That's why I'm an owner operator, is because I want to choose when and how I do things. So, you know, there's a lot of things going on too. So, Robert Daniel, great story. Donnie, look me home a couple hours, good deal. The thing with that Bass Pro, Ratman Roden, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, sir. Oh, look, the gift that keeps on giving all year round, right? That was the tail end of a load that my son was with me. And so when we went and picked that load up, it was in Macon, Georgia. Bass Pro Shop has a distribution center in Macon, Georgia. And my son, you know, being think 9 years old at the time, needed to go to the bathroom. Kids do that. They don't have the big bladders that, truck drivers have. They can't go for, 10 hours, right? And they literally wouldn't let him use the bathroom. He was not allowed inside at all. And the store wasn't open, because they got a store side there. And so we had to bobtail up to McDonald's to use the bathroom. And so my son's impression of Bass Pro was like, this place kind of sucks. So, James, you're funny. My company basically treats me like an owner-operator, so that is why I will not become an owner-operator. Well, good deal, Robert. I've heard of companies that are like that. I've heard of companies that will give you a budget to let you decorate the truck however you want, but it's still a company truck. There's a lot of companies that believe that they give you a little bit of freedom and the ability to manage yourself. If you do well, then you can pretty much have the next best thing. That's kind of the position I had at Transland. I pretty much got the good loads. I had good relationships with my dispatcher, all but one. And bigrigceo knows which one I did not have. That I did not have a good time with, but the rest of them were pretty good. There was some growing pains. I had to learn a lot. I think the more that you can learn about logistics in general, like both sides of the truck, I think the better off you could be. Understanding certain lanes, understand why your dispatcher might make you sit for a half a day when you're in Florida versus, you have to go if you're in Chicagoland. Recognize when they're taking a broker load just to get you home, how they might take a hit on that. Understand that requesting home time makes the logistics of that can be kind of hard to do. So I always allowed myself like a day cushion. If I wanted to be home on Friday, I told them I needed to be home Thursday night. When I was doing the band, there were gigs. I would literally take vacation days before and after the gig, or before the gig, to make sure that I was home so we wouldn't miss a gig. There was one show that we did where I literally parked the truck, got my personal vehicle, got home, started loading gear. That only happened once, and that was a tiring day. But for the most part, I told my dispatcher I would work as hard as he needed me to, as long as he got me in on the days that I needed. And I didn't even have to, the long haul at Transland was like, you're home every other weekend. And I told him, I said, I'll do 2 or 3 weeks in a row, as long as I get the days off that I've requested. And they held true to that. And then when I was dealing with a lot of issues at home and needed to be short haul, they did that. They did that, and I was very thankful for them for doing that. So, let's see. I love Bass Pro, says James Best. As a company to work for them, but I do like going in there and looking at the fish and the turtles, and they do have a decent tool selection. So I got an object that I will not talk about that was priced at. I go in there and it was supposed to be on sale for $119, and they ring it up as $169. I was like, well, that's wrong. And so they looked it up. It's like, well, because we haven't, the system and the computer updated, but we didn't update the actual price tag. And so they had to give it to me at $119. And then I had a $50 gift card that was given to me by one of them evil brokers. That's sarcasm, by the way. And if that particular broker's watching, thank you. And so I paid $80 for it, so it was kind of nice. So. Customize the truck, little bike coach. Yeah, terms. Um, I don't know if those prime people they get to decorate their truck, with the stickers and stuff. Let's see, everybody's telling everybody Merry Christmas, spreading the cheer. Good video this morning, LVC, right? For the most part, I get good loads, but I will also bail them out of the spot when they need help, then make it up to the next load. Robert, the trick to a good dispatcher is he's got to find the balance. He's got to be able to make that driver feel important. Okay, this is important. We got to make the driver feel important, but not so important that he thinks that the company will fail if he leaves. And I got kind of caught up in that. I think that's where ego and arrogance comes in. How many of you guys have heard that? You get a call from your dispatcher on a Saturday. Look, you're the only one we have out of 200 trucks that can do this load. Please save us. Well, if the dispatcher uses that line too much, guess what? Now you're like, they need me. I'm so awesome that this company would not survive without me. and I actually thought that for a minute, because I'm an egotistical bastard, right? And realizing that this 150 truck company with 400 trailers, they're going to be just fine. And guess what? I've left, and 8 years later, they're still doing just fine. So, or 6 years later, it's but that's dispatchers do that. They'll tell you you're the savior, the only one that can do this. You will be rewarded, and you hope that's true. You hope that that there's, I think that the best thing to look for in a company is they communicate with you and they want you to stick around. They don't want you to look for the greener grass, right? So they will make steps to make sure, they might give you a month of easy loads, or, you get the miles if that's what you want, or that one easy load. Like I always liked a certain triangle. I liked the loads that were Springfield to Pennsylvania to Oklahoma City back to Springfield. That was my favorite triangle. And then the other one was Springfield to Pennsylvania to Belleville to Columbus to Oklahoma to Springfield. That was another favorite of mine. And in Transland, they had a lot of the same runs, the same loads, and I think that's where I get my patterns from. Work 10 days off, 2 days off, or 10 days on, 2 days off, every other weekend, run a lot of the same freight. And, that familiarity helps you be efficient, and it takes less stress off of you. If you're having to call 20 brokers every single load and you're going to all these new places every single time, it wears you down a little bit. It can be very stressful because, one day you're in the middle of the Bronx looking for a spot to park, and the next minute you might be in Phoenix dealing with the heat. Not literally the next day, but you know what I mean. So that was never. I mean, I've dealt with that. Some of my most profitable months were months that I did run like that, but it's hard to maintain after a while. Eventually you or the truck kind of gives out a little bit and you need a break. So when is 4 of their trucks from the same company sitting next to you? Right? My dispatcher and I constantly talk to each other. I stay on the same page and no one gets too big-headed. We will constantly pick on each other, and that includes the higher bosses too. Merry Christmas, DIY. Guys, if you haven't checked him out, DIY Semi Trucking and More, he has a great channel. I like his direction. I discovered him through Pale Riders, even though like he and I were on James Best live feed together at the same time a couple of days ago when James Best was live for like 52 hours. He did one about the carrier bearing, and it was like, wow, that's spot on. That's it's good common sense knowledge with no agenda. That is so hard to find right now. Is good common sense information with no agenda, no reason to make money off that person. Nothing to sell, just straightforward. Here's some info that could save you some money or some headache. And his channel is doing really well. I think he and I have the same amount of subs, but DIY, his video views are way more, a lot better than my views. My views have, and it's weird because I did that video about the lock, about how to unfreeze the lock, and it's only got like 120 views. The paid off truck first video has a lot of views and a lot of thumbs up, so I appreciate everybody for that. I did a video about the top 10 apps that I use in the spot market. I haven't even broken 200 with that. So it's weird how YouTube algorithms work, and I can't quite figure that out. And people, it's because Snorler's boring. No, there are videos that are more boring than me that actually do a lot better on the analytics. So I think it's just an algorithm thing. So, thanks for really liking your channel too. You seem very level-headed. DIY, I tried to be. I appreciate that compliment. I try to be level-headed because it does no good to be emotional. It does no good to be emotional out here in the truck. It does no good to have a very, it's all on how you react out in life. You can have the best thing happen to you. You can have the worst thing happen to you. And what determines the future is how you react today. That, especially in the political climate that we're in and the economic climate that we're in, it's all about reaction. And keeping ego and arrogance in check. I think that's a huge problem. That was a huge problem with me. I can't even watch a lot of my old videos because I felt I was being arrogant with a lot of things. I try not to use terms, you should do this or everybody should do that. I try not to tell people what to do, but what I do. Like, hey, this is what I do. And because when you put the word should or you have to, people will take that and run with it, and they'll try 100 ways to prove you wrong, right? And YouTube has kind of become it's the platform's changing. You can ask all the original YouTubers, and creativity's gone, and now it's about how to do this, how to do that, but people will tell you how you do it wrong, and it's or they got something to sell you. There's like a prepper that I watch, and I stopped watching him because a lot of these preppers have done this fear mongering, right? Now, I believe in being prepared. Okay. People talk about a reset or whatever, and wherever you believe, that's fine. What you believe what you want to believe, but when you're using fear to promote products for you to sell, I don't sit well with that. Or if you use an insult, like if one thing's better than the other and all you do is insult the other thing without telling me why your thing is better, that's not a good sales tactic either. But when you put fear mongering and insults as your sales tactic, I'm completely turned off by it. And YouTube has become a financial source for a lot of people, and I get it. I would love to, run my truck and be able to do, YouTube and make money off the YouTube as well. I would love to do that. Now, do I make some money off YouTube? Absolutely. Do I have my Cash App in my description on my live feeds? Absolutely. But I'm never going to try to sell you something that doesn't work, right? I've used Truckin' Pro. I promote them not heavily, but enough that, I've had a couple of kickbacks for referrals, and it also gives the person a discount. And then I did a video about that Strikeman laser drive, tool working system. And I guess one of the people that viewed that video was having issues with shipment. And while I talked about the product, I wasn't promoting it like I got a code for it or I get a deal. Just more of a like, hey, I'm trying this, see how it works. Road Pro had sent me 2 things for free, and they both failed miserably, so I didn't promote it, right? But I do promote using the lunchbox cooker because it does work well, but I had to pay for that. My headset here, I did an unboxing, but I don't get promoted by them. And the only problem with these Voyagers is this protective thing lifts up from the phone. It still functions. This whole piece actually pops off. But getting a hold of Plantronics has been an issue to get those phone replacements. I talked to the guy at Matt's a couple of years ago, and he was like, "Oh yeah, just here's the phone number to call, and we'll send you one." Because he didn't have any on him, and he wouldn't give me the one that was, because I brought the headset in just to show him, and so he said that was a problem. But again, I just kind of did an unboxing, and you guys got to realize a lot of YouTubers in all spectrums are promoting products that they're paid well to promote. And so you have to look at that, with a grain of salt. I don't, discount codes are one thing, but, you can't get something in the mail that you've never used and to say it's the best product ever, because, well, how do we know how long it's going to last, right? So, Rick N., thank you for the $5. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you, Rick. Let's see. I'm behind on comments. More Merry Christmases. Love your channel, Snorlord, and so does the wife. Thank you, Chucky. And I've got the card that you guys gave me right up there. Let's see, Quick, I saw Santa driving a truck on Tuesday. Oh yeah, Quick said Santa Claus drives a truck. Let's see, Santa's exempt. He is. Got to bounce, DIY. See you later. He's probably already gone. Al Capone, famous gangster, is in here. That's great. Any truck's a good truck if you have good maintenance. 4 new strains of the bit 2021 is going to be a mess. We won't get into that, James Best. We won't get into that at all. Logistics Podcast. Thank you. Thank you for the card. And I'll kind of demonstrate what I bought with it. There, that's it. That's all you get. That's all you get. Um, 2021 equals 2020 level up. I heard there's a new system to get the snow and ice off our trailers that the driver can do themselves. Does anyone know anything about it? Robert, the things that I've seen is there's like a telescopic thing that you can like extend, and it like kind of curves over, kind of like gutter cleaners, right? And you can like literally kind of brush your own snow off. I don't like. I used to pick up batteries in Pennsylvania, and they have those like looks like a snowplow thing, like a blade, but it's up high, right? And you drive the trailer underneath it. I don't know why they don't put those things in truck stops or like at the Blue Beacon. You know, like $5 you can get that snow taken off the roof or something. I don't know why that's not being capitalized on. It's only at certain shippers. So, so Scott, good morning. Let's see, everybody's saying, Scott, welcome back. Post trip, good morning. Meet Christmas to all. So, and Eric, I wasn't ignoring you the other day. I was in the middle of something you called, and I called you back. So if you want to talk to me today, give me a holler. Still using your Wendy's card? Yeah, I have a Subway card, and I have a Outback gift card that I have not tapped into. You know, too much liability. There you go. No, don't call right now. Silly. Spectre, I hope all you guys. I think Canal is doing well, judging by his posts on Facebook, and I hope you're doing well. I noticed one of your trucks where I got my truck repaired at, so I hope it's not too bad over there with that truck, because I know what that's like. And that shop treats me really well, Spectre, just so you know. They go above and beyond. You know, it doesn't help that I brought them donuts. Yes, I actually bought donuts. I did not eat any, but I did support a small business. There was a small donut store. Went in there and ordered a bunch of stuff, and they're like very appreciative. And then I ended up taking that shop donuts, and it's done well for me. So. First time in 6 years I haven't been home for Christmas. Big Houston, that sucks, man. I'm sorry. I hope they're paying you well. I hope, you know, I know the Opie's out of Eldon, Missouri, they're a tank company. They will pay you extra for running over a holiday. So look, if you're a company and you got company drivers and you got your driver working on a holiday, give them double miles for that trip. You know, give them some kind of compensation. Very well, clutch adjustments and some minor work. Awesome, good deal. Good Christmas Eve, Les. I hope everything's well. I hope you're surviving. That was one of the reasons why I want to do my morning coffee live, was to show off my new coffee mug, and to, because I'm endorsed by Like Trucking, right? And to, give everybody a chance to say Merry Christmas to each other, because after about 5 o'clock, YouTube is dead to me. So yes, Eric has changed. Okay, so people look at logistics podcasts. Eric went back to his original format, and he gives you thoughts and information from the broker side of things. That's important. It's important. If you're in the spot market and you're cursing brokers, you need to understand what they're dealing with. You can still curse brokers, but you have to understand things from their, if you look, if you want to level the playing field, you have to understand their world as well. If you want to become a broker, you have to understand that world. You got to understand it's more than just, a phone and phone calls and making, trying to make sales. It's there's a lot to logistics. Freight waves and sonar is such good information on understanding. Look, what air freight is doing may not make sense to me, but if you look at the trend of what air freight's doing and when it tends to do this thing and it affects our market in this way, that's something to pay attention to. And the broker driver game has been around for what, 40, 50 years? I remember my dad dealing with brokers, having to look at the TV screen, the original dial-a-truck TV screen, and writing down phone numbers and getting in line at the payphone. I remember them. I remember us looking for broker loads when I was running with them. And sorry about that. And the biggest difference now is technology. Technology makes that easier. Technology, now I can run my entire business with this thing. And, but the concept's still the same. Freight still moves by plane, freight still moves by train, freight still moves by boat. And having an understanding of all the aspects of logistics can help you understand why, a certain shipper does what they do, or why people well, why do grocery shippers, or receivers have to, make you deliver at 2 a.m. or it's all overnight? Well, because during the day they're doing with their own trucks. It took me a minute to learn that. There are some things that are antiquated, like the lumper system. I think that, maybe we can go more towards, 90% prepaid, not making the driver be the middleman, because most places don't even let you unload. You don't even have a choice. Like, oh, you have to get a lumper. Well, if I have to get a lumper, then why am I dealing with this? You should be in direct contact with the customer, not me. Why make scuzzy looking dude like me in a Metallica t-shirt? Why make me handle the money? Just handle it yourself. So Steve, doing good here. Everything is good here. Proud that you paid off the KW2. Thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, I enjoy Eric's new old format. So give him a listen to if you want to understand more about the broker world. And he's happy to help people out too. He helped me tremendously on just negotiating. Definitely negotiating and how I looked at things, right? It's easy to go like, same thing with the dispatcher. Once I was able to go to my dispatcher's desk and look at his computer screens of what he looked at and how loads were sent to my truck and everything that he can see and how he gets his loads from the load planner, it helped me understand why he did certain things a certain way. The brokers are the same way. I've got, Eric's not my only broker friend that I have. And I know successful people that were brokers at Landstar and that, outside of this YouTube universe that have told me different aspects of dispatch, like dispatch services, what they go through and what their requirements are and dealing with what brokers want and why I'm not a broker stream, because I'm kind of set in my ways. Broker loves drivers that will just, they want customer service just like anybody else. And you can't call up a broker and be rude to them and expect that you're gonna get more money from them. You have to play nice. You have to play the game. If you don't like playing the game, then you don't want to be in it. So hate the game, not the players. So everybody's still Communication is key for all sides and all things we do in life. Absolutely, Chucky. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, other than that, man, Joey the Clown Lombardo, good morning. Other than that, man, I hope everybody's doing well. 2021, you got to have a positive outlook, right? It's all on how you react. I do see the narrative of other strains, and I do see some narratives with the vaccine. And the only thing that we can do is time will tell. January 6th seems to be a date that a lot of fear and mongering is being centered around. And again, we're not going to get into politics here. You just got to go with the flow. You can't put life on hold. I've put a few things on hold this year because I wanted to see what the election was going to do. I wanted to see what the economy was going to do. I wanted to see what the vaccine and the virus narrative was going to do. And when you have politicians literally yelling at you, trying to create this fear, trying to create this sense of urgency to you, that's equivalent to the guy sitting at home with a cigarette in his mouth telling you not to smoke, because politicians literally have lost their roots. All of them. Both sides of the fence. They don't care about you. The narrative to divide is strong, and it's working. Little Viking Coach did a video about it's a secondary documentary of Seattle that I told you guys about the first one. If that doesn't rattle your cage, I don't know what will. And let it be known that what's happening in California, what's happening in Seattle, what's happened to Detroit, what's happening in New York City, that's coming to a town near you. I see it here, and the biggest pandemic is discontent and greed. Discontent and greed. That's it. People go to drugs because they're unhappy with themselves, they're unhappy with their lives. And if you can't find a way to be content, and that's literally what's crippling our country. But we're going to talk about positive things. You know why? Because it's Christmas Eve, and I want you guys to be happy, healthy, and hope that you have a good year. You need to have a positive outlook. 21 is going to be a great year no matter what is happening around us. I will put my blinders on and stay focused on the goals planned. Chucky, that's absolutely correct. You have to stay focused. I know a lot of people that have put a lot of plans on hold because they were afraid of this happening or afraid of that happening. And, and we can't control what the government's doing. We can't control what these mandates are doing. We can't control 99% of the stuff that they're yelling at us on the news. There was a time one of the news stations was doing their nightly broadcast. And I remember I turned it on just out of morbid curiosity. It was the beginning, and the announcer's yelling at you. He's like yelling at you. There's a sense of urgency. You got to do this, and then every reporter out in the field that he talked to had a sense of urgency. Like, this is the most important thing in your life right now. And Facebook does that. These do that. This is a programming device, guys. This is a programming device. A sense of urgency is a tone that's meant to just it creates anxiety. Think about this. You hear a lot more about anxiety now than you did, say, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. 90% of our anxiety that we have, that I have at least, has been created because of this thing, because of the big rectangular thing in your living room, or the big rectangular thing in your truck. A calm mind is able to see the whole picture and make your adjustments according, right? You make your adjustments. If things don't look good out your window, figure out why. And once you know why, then you adapt and overcome. That's it. That's all you can do. And the politicians think we're idiots. They think we're stupid. They think that you don't pick up on that. You know, Barricade Garage. I don't know if you guys follow him, but he's got a lot of social commentary, but it's done in a funny way that's under the radar, and his YouTube analytics are really good. And he had a comment about the anti-vaccine people, right? You know, and how that's another manipulation tactic. You know, if you're on one side or the other, you use that emotion to manipulate. The more emotional you are, the easier you are to manipulate. If you have ego, arrogance, fear, ignorance, those are 4 manipulation tactics. Don't give in to that. Keep yourself in check. Contentment comes from within, right? You have to have a spiritual side, and you have to have, there I go again using that term, you have to, right? But in order to survive this, whatever you think it is that you're going through, you have to really know yourself. You have to really know yourself. Forgive yourself for what you've done. Be honest with yourself on what you really want or don't want. And then react. Social media is the devil. I agree. We can control what the government's doing by letting our political leaders know what we need. Right. And you talk about the brace thing that the ATF was talking about. 5 million people spoke on that, and they retracted it. But you have to have a calm mind to be able to approach the people that are trying to manipulate you, right? That's it. You have to have a calm mind. You can't go to Washington and shout about, like all these guys that shouted about ELDs and broker transparency. Did they help our situation? No. Because they just shouted a lot. The calm, cool minds, that's what gets the attention. Honestly, politics in the last 3 years has become a cesspool, but after the Clinton-Trump election, I think we've seen the worst degradation and bias and political interference in media. Absolutely, Screaming Demon, I agree. I try to use social media to help and advance my knowledge. You're right. It's a double-edged sword. And so like anything like food or alcohol, you gotta do it in moderation. You gotta take the good and recognize the bad and be able to differentiate. That's the problem with teenagers and kids that are handed a cell phone or a tablet, is they don't have the skill set to differentiate what's good and what's bad. BLR, good morning from Minnesota, brother. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Have a blessed holiday. Thank you, BLR. I'm yelling because I want to, Thor. Vanity gets them every time. Oh, man, I love that movie. I love that movie. Anyways, guys, that's enough. That's enough. Thank you for the $5, Robert or Rick. And I appreciate everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. 21 is going to be a gangbusters year. Even if there's another shutdown, guess what? What happened to the rates after the shutdown? They skyrocketed. I paid off a truck. What else proof do you need that you can make it this year, next year, right? Thank you for watching. Peace. Merry Christmas.